So one scripture that's always been one of my favorites is 2 Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by faith and not by sight. And there have been plenty of times in my life, even now, where things are happening that I do not understand why they're happening, can't see God's vision in them. And then I have to recall the verse, and I have to remind myself that as Christians, we don't have to see the vision. We don't have to understand. That is not how we walk. We walk in faith, and the faith that everything is working according to God's purpose.
I have many scriptures depending on my circumstance. A lot of them. I have a journal that I keep, and when I come across scriptures that really hit home, I have logged them in my journal. Not only have I logged scriptures, but there are times when I have logged different names for him, depending on what he is during my circumstances at that time. But I have 3 specific. Now, I can't verbatim say my words, but because I don't remember scripture like that, but this is what I do know. I think there's one where he says, I think it's Romans, I think it's 8. Not quite sure about the verse. Anyway, the one that says, nothing or no one can separate me from him. You know, not height nor depth, not principalities. There is nothing that can separate me from Christ. And so I cling dearly to that, because when I think I can't take it anymore, I'm mindful, and he brings it to me and lets me know, daughter, remember I told you, there is nothing or no one that can take you away from me. Then there's the one where sometimes when I'm worrying, and he says, he kind of talks to me like about the grass and the lilies and how he takes care of those things. And because I know I mean more to him than those things, he says, why do you worry? Why do you fret about those things? Surely if I will take care of that, he's got my back. And then my last one is that he would never leave me nor forsake me.
So Psalms 91 has always been our family scripture, and it's, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my strength, my God in whom I trust. It says like he will never leave us or forsake us. He will guide us. And it just talks about fear. It talks about everything we needed in darkness and the pestilence that comes at us. And God puts his, he will put his feathers, and he will, under his wings, you will find refuge. And it just is just such a good verse for everybody going through anything, because it talks about how we have to have faith and how we have to not be fearful. And so that's a good verse for our family and for me. And it says in the end, it says, I have it right here, when they call upon me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue and honor them. I will reward them with a long life and give them my salvation. So it just, those who love me, I will protect, and those who trust in my name, you know, and they will call me, I will answer. I call on God all the time, and he answers me. So that's a favorite verse of mine.
Yes, early on, God has given me Isaiah 54 as pretty much a life chapter where he talks to me about my barrenness, but that he has blessed me with fruitfulness. And he has designed me to be in a place where I can service hundreds of young people in my career as an art therapist and a counselor.
When I was planning my wedding in my 20s, like, I was worried about a flower, something that was so irrelevant and useless. And somebody said to me, like, oh, Matthew 6:25, that is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life. And it talks about how if God cares about the birds, like, obviously he cares about us more than the birds. And that scripture has just always been something that's in the back of my mind. I think, you know, God does care about me. Like, he cares that I care what kind of flowers were at my wedding, even though nobody cares.
In high school, I got a lot out of scripture in John, talking about how to treat your friends, putting others before yourself. But lately, since the last women's conference, when we talked about finding joy even in the struggles, James 1:2, that's really been sticking with me. Count it all joy, brothers and sisters, even when there are trials, because he'll be there with us.